Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, issue number 11 from Marvel Comics. So this is a transition issue in the sense that this doesn't begin a new arc or anything like that. This is just I don't want to say a throwaway issue because throwaway issue kind of has a negative connotation to it. But this is an issue in between the end of the last arc and before we get the beginning of the next arc in the next issue, I'm assuming. So this is kind of just like an in-between issue. And it's just more of like a character issue where we start off, where we see Soldier and Reeves, and they are cleaning up the mess of Midnight Mission. So Midnight Mission was killed in previous issues and was kind of like destroyed. And now that they've defeated Fairchild and got rid of the drugs, and they're basically fixing up their image, they're going around, they're going to do a grand reopening for the building that was Midnight Mission. Now it's just a building. Throughout all this, we see through the eyes of a character that we don't know. So everyone's talking to us, the viewers, because we are basically seeing through the eyes of a character. And they just kind of talk about Moon Knight. It's his birthday today, so they're gonna like get ready to do a surprise party. And we just see like little hints of what the other characters think of Midnight, as well as what they think of Moon Knight, and just that's pretty much what the issue is. So we see like how has Mark affected their lives? How did they end up becoming a member of Moon Knight's group? Like for example, we have Soldier who's talking about how a while ago Moon Knight saved his life for the second time. And since then, he's decided to dedicate his life to helping Moon Knight and becoming a part of his mission. As he's going around, he's shopping for food for the surprise party. And then they step outside and we see 8-Ball. And 8-Ball is wearing a cape. He wants to try it out. And he thinks he looks heroic with it. And then Soldier dumps whoever we're seeing through the eyes of onto 8-Ball. So basically, Soldier's like, hey, you're going to be patrolling, right? If you happen to patrol by Tigra's area, why don't you take this person with you so that they can go meet Tigra? So then we follow 8-Ball. And 8-Ball just basically talking about how he was just a petty thief robbing banks. And after coming across Moon Knight and joining on his cause, he now feels like he's found a new lease on life. He's part of the Midnight Mission. People are happy to see him. And he's like surprised about that because it's like, it's me, it's 8-Ball. People are actually surprised to see 8-Ball and they're happy. Like that never happened to me before. So yeah, we just follow along as 8-Ball takes us to Tigra's house. And so we get introduced to Tigra and Tigra's son. And we see Tigra's son has drawn a picture for Moon Knight. And then Tigra starts talking about Moon Knight and her relationship with Mark and how she's never seen Mark celebrate his birthday. She has no idea how he will react. Doesn't even know how old he is. That he can be a difficult man to love. But she's always been bored with Easy. And so we see her and we follow her and her son as they walk through the city on their way to where the surprise party is going to be at. And it's just this thing where we're just kind of going from character to character. For example, we see Hunter's Moon. And Hunter's Moon is outside. And he starts talking to us. And he's like, you know, he doesn't like parties. They always make him feel uncomfortable. But, you know, he's got to be here to support his bro. And he's wondering where he is. And then that's when we end up climbing up to the top of a building where we see Moon Knight. And we see who the character that we were following was all along. And it's Moon Knight's daughter, which is something I had no idea about. I had no idea that Moon Knight has a daughter. I've said this before, but in case this is like your first video, I don't really have any knowledge of Moon Knight. Other than Werewolf by Night. I read Werewolf by Night. That's where Moon Knight first debuted. So I know about that. I've watched the TV series, so I know a little bit about that. And I know a little bit about Moon Knight from like the Spider-Man games, as well as Marvel Rivals. But I mean, there's not much of a story in Marvel Rivals. I just know a little bit about him. And mostly I just know him through the memes. Like the crazy edits that people do of panels. I thought those are hilarious. So I don't know much about this guy. I know that like he originally started off and he had like 3 different disguises that he would use. And then later those disguises got retconned into 3 different personalities that he had. So I know stuff like that, like he suffers from mental health issues and stuff. That he's kind of like a more violent version of Batman. That's how some people describe him. But I don't know much other than that. So I have no idea that he has a daughter. But I think this is like a sweet moment that we have, where we have him spending time with his daughter, and they basically just kind of chat and have like a moment together. And I thought this moment was pretty sweet. I like the reveal that we finally get to see who it, because for most of the issue, I'm like, who the hell is this character that we're supposed to be? Like, why is everyone talking to us? Who are we? And in one of the earlier panels, like, you see Soldier walking out of the store with this weird dude with a beard, and I'm like, oh, is that us? Who the hell is that guy? That's some random dude. But then it's like, no, it doesn't seem like that's us. But yeah, eventually it turns out that we're Moon Knight's daughter. And Moon Knight just kind of talks about his life, about how, you know, he's surprised to see like how much his kid has grown, that he promises that what happened to her last time won't happen to him again. I guess last time she met him, he was kidnapped by werewolves and vampires or something. But he just kind of talks about them, about how he has people with him now, how he's lost a bunch of people, and he's gonna make sure that he does his best to never lose anyone that he cares for again. And then she brings up the sword, and he mentions the sword and how the sword stakes souls and hoards it. And he uses the sword to bring back the Midnight Mission, because the Midnight Mission wasn't necessarily killed so much as the soul was ripped out and stored in the dragon that Moon Knight now wields as a sword. So because the soul's still there, he's able to bring the soul back, and he puts the soul of Midnight Mission back into the building. The Midnight Mission is back, and everyone can feel it, and everybody's happy and excited for that, because now the Midnight Mission is back. They lost one of their members, but now that member is back. And this is basically him promising that all the people that he's lost and failed, he's going to make sure that, you know, he works hard, and he's reminded of all the people that he's hurt, but also all the good knights and all the people that he saved. And he's going to make sure that he does his best to keep trying to save more people and not lose any more people than he's already had lost. And that's pretty much the issue. And I thought this was pretty good. It's funny because the two issues that I'm reviewing today, Radiant Black and now this, are kind of like transition issues, both of them. Radiant Black was about some new character that we've never seen before, and it's kind of just her story, and it kind of concludes her story. And then we get Moon Knight, and this is a transition issue. It's just basically, hey, here's Moon Knight, here's what he means to the people around him. Here's what he's going to try to do from now on. Here's all the terrible things that has happened to him. Here's all the things that he's going to try to promise to do. And it's just pretty much, it doesn't lead us into the next arc because there's no like setup for the next arc. It's just kind of like its own one-shot, one-time kind of thing. It's just an issue where we see the people around Mark and what they feel about him. And what the mission, not necessarily just the Midnight Mission, but the mission in general, as in what they're doing and what that means to them. But I thought it was nice. Obviously, I don't want every issue to be like this, but I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming the next issue, we're going to start off with the new arc with Zodiac as the new villain. Yeah, I thought this was just a nice breather issue. And I feel like more comics need these, especially comics that are ongoing. Obviously, you don't want to have a lot of breather issues when it comes to miniseries because you only have limited of time to tell stories. But when it comes to ongoing series, I feel like there's a lot of comics out there where the writer doesn't realize that you gotta let things breathe and settle. That you can't just be going boom, 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 beat after beat after beat after beat. That while that can be interesting in the short term, like eventually it's like you're kind of just speed running through the stories. You're not giving us time to sympathize or empathize with any of the characters. So that when big things happen, you don't really care. I've talked about this in other issues where like, oh, this character died. Why do I care? I've hardly spent any time with this character because the story was going too fast. So it's nice to have, you know, moments like this where we get to see just a little bit of like in the minds of these other characters. We get to see a little bit of their personalities. What are they like when they're not going out and fighting crime? Like this is just them getting ready for a surprise party for their boss. So I thought this was nice, and I think more series need to do stuff like this. But yeah, this was good. I liked it. So there you go. Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu, issue number 11 from Marvel Comics. Thumbs up for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.